guys, welcome to the video. I'm Van and today I'm going to show you my 3 favorite healthy breakfasts, all of which are delicious and high in protein. I just want to quickly mention that none of these breakfasts are savory, as I'm a sweet breakfast type of person. Let me know down in the comments which one you prefer. I didn't want to make anything up, so these are the breakfasts that I have every day or at least on a weekly basis. Also, on a side note, I'm going to be using protein powder in all of these 3 recipes, so if you're not down to that, then maybe skip the video or just don't put it in or swap it for something else. I just think it tastes great and it helps me get my protein in every day. So first off, the yogurt bowl. This is my go-to almost every day. It's the one I make when I don't have time or I'm just feeling lazy. It's obviously the easiest one to make, really quick, and in my opinion, really tasty and delicious. These breakfast ideas are very easily customizable, so really there's no recipe as such. Just do with what you have, and in any case, it will taste amazing. Okay, so we're starting off with some yogurt, obviously the base of a yogurt bowl. This is plain yogurt. You can use Greek yogurt or any other yogurt you want, plant-based. I even use kéfir sometimes. I then add in around half a scoop of my favorite protein powder and some chia seeds for the omega-3s. Sometimes I'll add also flaxseed or maybe even oat bran if I want to add a little bit more fiber. And that's it. Give it a good mix. To this base you can also add a sweetener of your choice depending on how sweet you like it. Maybe stevia, honey, maple syrup or whatever, or even buy already sweetened and flavored yogurt. And also maybe some vanilla extract or cacao powder depending on the taste you're going for. Next I'll add any type of fruit I have on hand or whichever one is in season. You can put any type of fruit you want, from apples to bananas, berries, all types of berries, peaches and plums, more or less anything you like. Okay, now this next one is optional, but you'll see I put it in everything. I just love it. So I top almost all of my breakfast with some type of peanut butter. Oops, that was way too much peanut butter. Okay, let's just pretend like nothing happened. Yeah, well, whatever. And then I usually top it off with some type of cereal. Granola is delicious, but really high in calories, so I don't really use that every day. I usually use some type of puffed cereal with nothing on it, no sugar, no honey, no anything, just straight up puffed cereal. My favorite one is this spelt one, but I've also used puffed rice and even rice cakes when I'm out of puffed cereal. And then last but not least, I put some type of nut or seed on top. I know I already use nut butter and chia seeds, but my favorite one is coconut chips, but I don't have any left right now, so the other one I really like to use is pepitas, pumpkin seeds. And that's it for breakfast number 1. And now for breakfast number 2, we're making some oatmeal. I know oatmeal is like boring for most people, but what I find exciting about it is that everyone has their own recipe, their own way of making it, and so you can learn a lot of different tricks from watching what other people do. So let's get into it. I'll show you how I like to make it, and hopefully you'll find something interesting to keep for your own recipes. First up, we're starting with the oats, around maybe 3 or 4 tablespoons. I don't have a specific recipe for this one either. I just go by whatever I feel like that day, and I'm lazy, so I make my oats in the microwave. I'll usually add a little bit of flaxseed for the omegas too, and just because it gives it a nicer consistency. If you're using vegan protein powder, you can mix it in with the oats and put it straight up in the microwave. Whey protein, I find that it gets kind of weird, so I prefer to mix it in afterwards. I usually put quite a lot of water because you can just leave it more time in the microwave and the texture will be fine, and also the whey protein absorbs quite a lot of it afterwards. So that's the oats done. I usually stir it a couple of times throughout and mix it a little bit, and then just take it out once it kind of starts to bubble up. Now I'll add my protein powder, around half a scoop. I would usually let it thicken up a little bit, or if I find it too liquid, just put it in the microwave for another maybe 20 seconds, and then put all of the toppings. Oatmeal isn't any different, so I'm going to add now more peanut butter, and then I also really like to add some cinnamon on top. Usually I find that the oatmeal in the microwave gets really hot, so I like to put some frozen fruit on top. In winter, I usually skip this step because I want something really warm and comforting. And then the same as before, whatever fruit you have on hand or you fancy putting in it. I'm going with banana for this one. And last but not least, I like to add a little bit of yogurt on top just because I think its acidity complements the rest of the flavors really well. And so that's it for breakfast number 2. Okay, so time for the last breakfast idea of the day, and it's my favorite of all time. If you've seen the thumbnail, you'll probably guess what it is. Pancakes, but not any pancakes, protein pancakes, because gains. This one is going to be a full-on recipe. I'll leave it in the description box below if anyone is interested. And yeah, let's get into it. First off, we're going to need a very ripe banana. Obviously, the greener your banana is, the less sweet your pancakes are going to be. You just need to mash it with a fork. There's no oil or butter or anything like that in this recipe, so the banana is key to keep the pancakes fairly moist. I just mash it until there are no big chunks left, or until I just get bored of mashing, basically. This is what is going to make the wet part of the pancakes. I usually start by mixing the wet ingredients and then I add that to the dry ingredients. That is around 100 grams of kéfir. I use plain natural organic kéfir. You can use any type of yogurt. Just keep in mind that if you're using yogurt, you're probably going to need to add a little bit more milk because the kéfir is, well, it's kind of more liquidy. Next up, the egg whites. You can use a whole egg instead of the egg whites. I add around 60 grams of egg whites. Finally, around 2 tablespoons or around 30 grams of almond milk. Again, you can use whatever milk you want. The last thing I add here is a little bit of vanilla extract. Around 1 teaspoon or whatever you want to add. It doesn't really matter. Just give it a mixy mix. And now we're moving to the dry ingredients. I always use whole spelt flour. You can use any type of flour you want. Gluten-free, I don't really know how that works. So I usually either do 100% whole spelt flour or wheat flour, or just mix in whatever flours I have on hand. Just keep in mind that when you're using whole flour, the result is going to be a little bit more dry, so I do recommend maybe mixing half and half white regular flour. I usually do around 100 grams of that, and then a whole scoop of protein powder, around 30 grams. Then we're adding between 6 to 8 grams of baking powder. I don't usually use baking soda because I can kind of taste it afterwards, so I don't really like it. Now for the dry ingredients, you can also add some type of sweetener, stevia, sugar even, or brown sugar, whatever you want, coconut sugar. But I find that the protein powder is sweet enough, so I don't add anything. I then put in between 1 to 2 grams of salt. If you want to make, for example, chocolate pancakes, just sub like 5 grams of flour for cacao powder or whatever you want to add. I've even tried it with a little bit of carob flour and it's really great. Just don't put too much in it because if not, the texture will be kind of weird. Now just mix everything together. Once everything is fully incorporated, I usually check to see if the batter has the consistency that I like. Sometimes it turns out a little bit dry, so I just add a little bit more milk and then I just let it sit for like 5 or 10 minutes. This recipe makes around 2 servings depending on the flour I use. I usually end up with around 8 to 10 pancakes. Quick tip: when you leave your batter to rest for 5 minutes, turn on the stove top so that the pan can start to heat up and your first pancakes won't look like crap. I usually use these like 50 milliliter, it's around quarter cup, to scoop the pancake batter out and end up with equal pancakes. Goddamn right. Please don't laugh at me, I'm really bad at flipping pancakes. I usually wait for them to stop bubbling up a little bit, and then the trick honestly is to commit. Screw them. Another important thing, don't overcook them or else they'll end up way too dry. What I found is that the key to making great pancakes is in the heat. It has to be just hot enough so that the batter will rise, but not too hot so that it has time to cook through. This is way easier on a gas stovetop. And those are the pancakes done. And now for the toppings, which is the most exciting part for me. I usually put some honey, and you've probably guessed it by now, some peanut butter. And then last but not least, some fruit. My favorite to put on pancakes are berries, strawberries, blueberries, whatever. And that is the final recipe. Okay, so those were my 3 go-to healthy breakfasts. Let me know down in the comments if you try any of them, what you think about them. And I hope you enjoyed the video. If so, give me a like and see you guys in the next one.